Good afternoon, LBUSD community. Hello, my name is Kelly Hodge. Welcome to Parent University's Return to School Top 10 Parent Questions Workshop. We're so excited to be here with you today. I can hardly stop smiling. It's been over a year since schools had to be closed, and now we get to talk about phased reopening of our wonderful LBUSD schools and welcome our students back. Although there is a lot of excitement about reopening our schools, we also recognize that many parents, guardians, and caregivers still have questions along with some concerns. So we feel very fortunate at Parent University today to have representatives from the level offices and the special education office to respond to your questions that you submitted through a Google form included in our weekly Parent University communication. From those questions, we were able to identify the top 10 questions that go across all of our levels, TK through 12th grade, and including our ACT program. Today's panelists include Dr. Heenan, Director in the Special Education Office. From the Early Learning and Elementary Schools Office, we have Kim Weber and Dr. Myers-Miller. They are instructional directors and principal supervisors. From the middle school K-8 schools level office, we have George Tsai, administrative assistant. And then we also have Mr. Edward Samuels, who's instructional director from our high school levels office. So these are the individuals that are supporting all of our schools get ready for the reopening and welcome our students back. We have 52 elementary sites, 24 middle school K-8 schools, and 15 high schools, including our Long Beach School of Adults. So we're very excited to be here with you today. So we'll go ahead and get started. From the questions that you submitted, among the top 10, we had a few that had to do with teachers. One being, will all teachers be returning to their classrooms? So would anyone like to speak to that question?
Sure, I can answer that.
Oh, thank you, George.
Thanks, Kelly. It's great to think about, this transition to in-person learning again. So welcome to those of you who are just joining us. Yes, all teachers will be returning to their classrooms. They're scheduled to return to the classroom the week before. Students arrive just to prepare that learning space. And then from that learning space, teachers will be conducting their lessons from that school campus.
Thank you. And that's across all of our levels, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then kind of coming off of that question, we had another one that seemed very common. Will teachers be in the classroom with their students? And I think that there may be a little bit of variation depending on the level. So Dr. Myers-Miller or Kim, would you like to speak to the elementary? Would all teachers be in the classroom with their students? I'm not, is somebody on mute?
Good day, Long Beach community. Sorry about that. That is the running joke these days, being on mute. But it's so good to be with you this day and to share the exciting news for returning back to in-person instruction. Yes, and students and teachers will be in the classroom together using the appropriate social distancing guidelines. Depending on what the parents' response was on the ISS survey, the instructional setting is based on that. So for those parents who chose in person, teachers and students will be in the classroom together following those protocols of social distancing.
Okay, thank you.
And similarly, at the middle school level, teachers will be physically with their students for the in-person hybrid sessions. If it is a virtual session or those live sessions, then obviously the teachers will be teaching from another location rather than where the students are at home.
Okay.
And if I may jump in for high school, in high school, our teachers will definitely be in the classroom with their students. We will have some students online while some students are in the classroom, but the students in the classroom will interact with their teacher. They will not be on Zoom while they're in the classroom. They'll actually have access to Chromebooks for other purposes, but they'll be able to interact personally with their teachers while they're in the classroom. And then of course, the teachers will still interact with those who are online.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to add a little bit for our adult community transition students. And these are our adults with disabilities ages 18 to 22 in our ACT program. So we call that our adult community transition program. They'll have similar opportunities. Some students and families have chosen to be online, virtually only. And then some students have also chosen the hybrid option. So those options are also available. One of the great things is that we were able to keep our they have Friday electives in the ACT program, and they're going to continue those electives such as cooking, grocery shopping, life skills, ASB, dance, gardening, cheerleading, so they're going to keep that schedule on Fridays because the adult students really love and look forward to that Friday. So they continue, the focus for them will continue to be the independent living skills, social emotional mindfulness, but their programs as well, again, from 18 to 22 will follow the same options as our other students in the district.
Oh, okay. Thank all of you. Yeah, I think it's really helpful for parents to hear and probably makes them feel a little more comfortable knowing their students will actually be with their teachers in their classrooms. So thank you. Definitely. And the other question that we had, I guess, Dr. Myers-Miller, you were mentioning the survey that parents had to fill out. So I'm thinking that maybe this question may stem from that. Will my student's teacher change? It was a question we had a lot. So I don't know, from the elementary perspective and early learning, is it a possibility that a student's teacher could change depending on the option that they selected?
Yes, there is a possibility that the teacher may change, but in most cases, the student's teacher will not change. What we asked our principals and our counselors to do at the beginning of the year in August was to correlate the data with what the parent wanted as a in-person or a online return to school. And so classes were initially built using that data. And only if the parent made a revision in the ISS, some accommodations may not be able to be made which would facilitate a teacher change. But in most instances, the teachers will remain the same.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Right.
And at the middle school level?
Yeah, so with the middle schools, the master schedule was designed based off of what families chose as their program preference at the beginning of this year. Since then, we have had the recent survey where we asked again, if the preferences were the same, then most likely there would be like a low probability of a schedule change. However, if those preferences did change between in-person hybrid and all virtual or vice versa, then there is a higher likelihood of a schedule change based off of the master schedule that was created.
Okay, thank you.
With the high schools, fortunately, students will remain with their same teacher and their same schedule. Because we're able to have our students connect via Zoom or in the classroom, there's no need for us to make any schedule changes whatsoever. If all of our students were coming back, we created our master schedules in a way in which they were split into A group and a B group. And so we have about half of our kids coming back, so it's actually going to work out perfectly. So, so rest assured, your child will be with their same teacher, and they will have their same schedule at the high school level.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and it sounds like at the elementary, middle school, that every effort, even if they had changed, that they were trying to keep them with their teacher, if at all possible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Kelly, I just want to add on for some of our students who are in preschool. So our students who are at our CDC and Head Start sites, just a reminder for parents that those programs are open. They've been successful in educating our students in the safest manner possible. So we do have some students, preschool students with disabilities in those programs, and they'll remain. And for our students at Buffum, some of our students and parents who have chosen to change, there is a possibility that they might have a change in teachers. So if they were scheduled to go in person and then decided maybe right now this isn't the right time and I want to keep my child home, there could be a change to a virtual teacher. And for our ACT students, the teachers will remain the same. So throughout the year, they will continue for the remainder of the year to be with that teacher, whether they're online or in person.
Oh,
so those
great.
are just 2 additional programs I wanted to highlight.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Thank you. And then, so we had the question, will my student's teacher change? But then we also had many questions around, can parents or students change their mind about returning to school or remaining online? And if so, what would that look like? So I don't know, from the elementary perspective, can they change their mind? If they've chosen,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Davina. Hi, everyone. I'm excited and just proud to be part of this group. What a nice opportunity to talk to families and to be with all of you. Yes, families can change, but if a change is requested at the elementary level, they need to communicate that as soon as possible to the principals and understand that a lot of effort has gone into managing the parents' initial choice, again, with the instructional settings survey that was just recently sent out in January. And we do have to keep in mind all of our social distancing requirements that are set forth by the California Department of Public Health. So the principals will do everything within their power to accommodate based on any parent request for change, but it may require a wait list. And then as soon as space becomes available, we would be able to accommodate that request. But we're going to ask for a lot of patience and know that we are as eager as you are to get your children back in person. But there are a lot of logistics principals are juggling to make that happen.
Yeah. And I would think that's probably similar maybe in the middle school and high school level. I don't know if George or Edward, you have something to add?
No, I definitely concur that we definitely wouldn't mind if folks made changes. The good news for high school is that we're not opening until April, so we do have some time. However, our schools are working feverishly to make sure that we do not exceed the limited capacities of our classrooms. And you can imagine with some schools with 3,000 kids, and maybe, there's 1,000 who are coming back. They have to make sure that each classroom does not exceed the 15 to 16 number of students. So that will take some time. So if you are planning to change your mind, please do so as soon as possible. Hopefully today, because that will give our schools plenty of time to make sure that your request is accommodated. But if by chance you wait until later, as Ms. Weber said, just definitely contact the school. They will work and to the best of their ability to accommodate you. But we do definitely need a little bit of grace because it's going to take a little bit of time for them to make adjustments, because it affects not just one class but 7 classes or 8 classes. So we definitely want to make sure that we get your child in the preferred setting that you have for them.
Thank you. And George, similar for middle school then?
Yes, similar.
Yeah,
We will try and work as best we can, but again, it's limited by availability and what the capacities of the rooms are as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because we do have to keep in mind that social distancing and the space that's allowed in each of the classrooms. And that's kind of transitions us into some of the parent questions we have more around safety protocols. And so the next question we have for you is, what if my child can't or doesn't wear the mask all day long? Because we know part of that is wearing the mask all day.
I could start with that one, Kelly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we receive a lot of questions, especially for students with disabilities, regarding, if a parent or a child can't tolerate the face mask, are they, exempt or can they come to school still? So I just wanted to reiterate to everybody that per California Department of Public Health guidelines, students in all grade levels, so preschool through our adult students, are required to wear a face covering or a face mask at all times. However, there is an accommodation, or what other people call an exemption. And basically, for students who can receive an accommodation from wearing this coverage, we're talking about students who are under 2. So for many families who don't know, is the district does have an early start program, and we serve our students birth to 2.5. And so for those basically infants and toddlers, they are exempt from wearing a face covering. Another exemption would be students who have a medical condition that obstruct breathing. So an example is some of our students who are medically fragile, who might have COPD or severe asthma. They could be exempt or accommodated because of this medical condition. And again, it's a disability that prevents a child from wearing a face covering. We would ask them to speak with the school nurse to talk about their concern and their medical condition or disability. And last is we're definitely sensitive to our students with hearing loss. So our deaf and hard of hearing students who might need either a clear face mask that we'll provide, or if they wanted to wear a face shield. And our teachers who work with our DHH population will be wearing face shields as well, so that the expressions of the teachers and each other will be visible for students who do have a hearing loss. So one of the things that we're asking for our parents right now is we're encouraging them to basically start working with your child at home. Maybe use a stuffed animal or wear them around the house if they're not used to them. Maybe have your child look for different kinds of fabrics that might be more comfortable. If they have any sensory issues, there might be some masks that work better than others. Start by wearing them just for a short period of time, and then extend the time, a little bit longer. And then for some of our students, I think it's a really good opportunity to either use a PEX or picture system to support them when they're going out, to show them the picture of the mask. That reinforces what some of the activities they're doing at school. So we're asking our families really to help us out for those students who might have some concerns with wearing a face mask. So those are some of the pointers that I have.
Thank you for those strategies and tips on kind of getting them prepared, practicing what it is they're going to be asked to do. So great ideas. Anyone else from our panel? We're good?
I think Rachel really hit it well. I think the last thing I would say is that just to be reassured that as a school system, we're not looking for ways to punish children for not doing this, but we are looking for ways to work alongside families to make sure our students are safe and remain healthy. So there will be visual prompts and verbal prompts to remind students to pull up their mask. And we know that even our youngest learners who've been in school since July, our preschool and CDC students have been in session, and they've been very, very good at wearing their masks and following the guidelines. And so we don't expect any of our older students who are coming back soon to be any different than our younger students. So together we'll be able to be back in person and stay healthy and safe.
Yeah, and I just would want to just end with, if you feel that your child's eligible for this accommodation or exemption, we're asking you to reach out to your school nurse now, so that you can have some time to discuss how we can support you, how your school can support your child to wear the mask. And then maybe if they need to help apply for this accommodation. So if parents are concerned right now, they should really be reaching out to their school site as soon as possible.
Good. Yeah, the sooner the better, so they can start processing that.
Definitely.
Thank you. Yeah. And then also kind of safety related, we had a question, or actually many questions that relate under kind of this umbrella question. If someone on campus does test positive for COVID, how will that be handled at our school sites?
So I think I'm going to handle that one.
Thank you for jumping in.
Yeah, we actually have a clear guidance from our Long Beach Public Health Department and the California Department of Public Health. So together we have a very thorough flow map system that I don't need to go into all the details about, but just remembering that we are working very hard to maintain the social distancing of over 6 feet and the mask wearing. So as long as we're following those guidelines, the contact tracing piece will be much easier to do. So if somebody on our campus were to test positive for COVID, we would do a general notification to the community just to let everybody know that there was a positive case on our campus. But then we would contact based on the information we received from the person that was that tested positive around who was within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes with, and that would be an immediate notification that would be more specific, just an alert that you have been exposed and that you would be asked to quarantine for the 10 days and recommend a test for yourself. So we're sure that with following all of our layers of support and protection and safety, that we will have very few of those contact tracings needed for the specific guidelines, but we would be doing a general notification to everyone.
Okay, thank you. Sounds good. And then we also just had some general questions about the nasal swab process. In particular, we had questions around how often that would take place, and then were there any alternatives to this test? So I actually did reach out to the head of our student health services, and again, under the guidelines of the California Department of Public Health, is if we remain within the red tier, it would be once every 2 weeks that the students and staff would engage in a nasal swab process, which is a asymptomatic screening. But I did want to point out, because I had a bit of a misconception too about what the nasal swab process was. And I was imagining it was the one that had the really long, like Q-tip or stick, and it went up your nose, like basically up to the back of your brain. That's what I had envisioned. But that's not the case at all. At Long Beach Unified School District schools, we're not going to put our student and staff through that. We're actually using what's called the interior nasal swab. So it's something that even the young children can actually do on their own. It's more of the size of just a normal Q-tip or something you might use to clean out your ear, really small. And they just have to put it just on the inside of their nose for about 15 seconds. So it's really not invasive. And the reason that has been chosen over other tests is that, one, it's less invasive. Most even small children have shown that they can do it on their own, and then also it's more reliable than some of the other tests that don't involve nasal swabbing, or that one that goes deep into the brain. Again, as far as the nasal swabbing, those were the two most common questions: how often, and was there an alternative? So again, how often? As long as we stay in the red tier, it'll be once every 2 weeks. But if we continue to go down and we end up in the orange tier, according to the California Department of Public Health, then we would not need to engage in nasal swab at all. So our numbers are looking good. That's where we hope to be. But right now we are in the red tier. So we're looking at once every 2 weeks for our students and staff to have to engage in that. So I hope that answers everyone's questions about the nasal swabbing that's out there today. I also want to point out that just below the screen of the video that you're watching, there are some resources that are attached for families. And one of them actually includes a video from the California Department of Health, Public Health, on nasal swabbing that they put together. And they even show small children engaging in the activity of the asymptomatic screening. So you may want to check that out, even with your children, young and old, so they're not as nervous about it as I was when I heard about nasal swabbing, imagining what it was and what it really is. So thank you for letting me jump in on that. I kind of was really curious for myself. So another question that we have is regarding social distancing, making sure our students are physically distanced, kind of as Ms. Weber was discussing. Other than one-way paths and hallways, so I think families have really cued in on that, what other social distancing measures are in place for example, before and after school, transitions between the classrooms, lunchtime, that we have engaged our staff with at schools? What measures are they putting in place?
Yeah, great question. So there's a lot of measures, safety measures being taken, but in terms of the physical distancing, schools are employing a number of different strategies for that. So one of the things that you'll see and notice right away is that only half of the population is on campus each day. So that'll make a huge difference, especially with Mr. Samuels talking about, those comprehensive high schools, being typically very crowded. You're only going to get about 50% at most. For each of those days. There's going to be distance markers, visual reminders, posters that'll help guide the students in just, maintaining that appropriate distance. With the bell schedules, That is also something that schools are looking into to design, for example, some of them are employing multiple lunches so that only a portion of their students are out on the fields or at the lunch areas at one time, looking into the passing periods to see if there's ample time for them to follow the one-way routes and still be able to make it to class on time. There's going to be planned entrance and exit areas, dismissal points, and protocols to alleviate that congestion, especially during those peak times. So your schools will be notifying you about those site-specific areas. It may be multiple entrance points and multiple exit points as well. So there's that, and then masks are expected to be on throughout the day, but at lunchtime, students can take off their masks with these designated areas just to make sure that everyone's spaced far enough away and can enjoy their meal.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Anything
if I
else
could
from
just
the panel? Oh, thank you.
add a few tips just from high school, especially in regards to lunch, because with high school we only have one lunch on our campuses. But like Mr. Sai said, that for most of our high schools, they're probably going to have 50% of their students who will return. But of that 50%, you cut that in half because we have Group A and Group B who will be on campus. And so then when you consider the lunchtime is going to be, number one, efficient, because as students enter the lunch area, they will only have one choice. So if it's hamburger day, everyone gets a hamburger. And so that's going to speed it up. Another reason it's going to speed up is because lunch will be free to all students. Even if your child doesn't normally get a free lunch, if they come back, they will receive a free lunch. They will not need to know their PIN number. It's just go up to the counter, grab the hamburger, and then because our high schools are so large, most schools are going to allow kids just to spread out across the campus. There will be some designated lunch benches where they will have them marked. So where instead of 4 at a lunch bench, maybe 2, but they'll make sure that they're socially distanced at the lunch benches. There's different fields and grass areas where kids will be able to eat as well. And so that's something that's really exciting. And they will have extra time because there's fewer kids on campus. So they'll have plenty of time. So they won't have to scarf down their food like they have in the past. Also at the high school level, one thing that we're working on with our high schools is taking a look at the restrooms to make sure that there's limited capacity in the restrooms. So some schools have already designated the number of students who will be able to enter a restroom. If there are already, let's say, 6 kids in a restroom and a student arrives to the restroom and it's already full, then there will be a line that will start outside socially distanced to make sure that capacity is not exceeded. And so that's very important. And along with the markings and the posters and the taping and the arrows, all of those things are going to be all over all of our schools K-12. So we're pretty confident that we'll have all those measures in place for all of our students. And so when it comes to athletic events, because I know at the high school level we have a lot of sports, and you may have heard that outdoor sports have already started. We had football games last Friday. And so our schools have worked to socially distance the bleachers. And then, of course, even with one day, maybe even having some other type of sports where they don't use bleachers, they're going to also find ways to make sure that we remain keeping our audience socially distanced and limiting the number of people who can attend a sporting event. So in past times, maybe thousands of people can attend a football game, but that's no longer the case in these times. So just understand that, we will have to limit our sporting events so that we can maintain social distancing.
It sounds like we have a lot of social distancing measures in place at our school sites or plans for that. I really, I did not realize that it would just be free lunch for all. And I love the idea that it's contactless. They're not going to be touching those buttons to put in their student ID. Is the grab and go that I'm hearing Ed speak about the high school, would that be consistent across the levels?
It is, yes.
Okay.
So we're excited about that as well.
Yeah. I like that. It'll be helpful.
A small little tweak at elementary is that you heard middle and high school talk about them eating on campus. At elementary, our instructional day is 2.5 hours. So it's literally a grab and go home with your meal.
Grab and go home in elementary. Okay.
So at middle and high school, they're going to grab and go find a safe, socially distanced spot to eat. But at elementary, you're going to grab that meal and you'll grab your breakfast, lunch, dinner, supper, snack. I don't know, 4 meals a day in a bag, and you're going to go home and you're going to be able to enjoy with your family. So it's a 2.5 hour day with a really nice plan worked out with our nutrition services branch. So a little bit of a nuance there at elementary level.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. I like that it's the grab and go home at elementary, grab and go at middle school and high school. Like that. So now we're transitioning kind of from safety measures just to some parent concerns, because we do have some schools that typically have uniform requirements or colors. So we did have the question, will students be expected to be in uniform if they're coming back in person?
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and talk about that from the elementary level. We are excited to have our students back. And one of the things that we want our students to feel is a part of the school community. And so our students are expected to continue to follow the Long Beach Unified School District guidelines for dress. And those guidelines are part of the parent guidelines that are available on our website. And we are asking students to continue to be a part of their school community and wear their school spirit wear and just be a part of their school community, whether you're a gator, whether you're a dolphin, or you're a bear, come back and be spirited, dressed for success.
I love it.
We just want to remember all the trying to remember all the mascots of middle school. You
drew the line on that one. Huh?
I know, gator. Right. Okay. Anyways, yes, pretty similar at the middle school level. You know, we would love to have people dress up in their school spirit wear and school colors and so on. At the same time, we do understand that getting uniforms now for the remainder of the school year is very difficult. You know, if anyone's like me with my pandemic weight, you're not going to fit in your clothes as well. And kids are growing pretty quickly as well. So yes, we don't want uniforms to be the deterrent if you are interested in in-person learning. So you would still be expected, or students would be still expected to adhere to the dress code standards, but we would not just exclude people based off of the uniforms alone.
Thank you for that. And I assume it's the same at the high school level, or is there any nuances there?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are a couple of high schools that do require uniforms, and basically what those high schools are just, they're not holding to the actual uniform itself, but they do ask for the school colors. And with all of our high schools, as you've already heard, dress code is very important, and usually that's the biggest challenge at the high school level. But dress code is something that we do ask all students to adhere to. But if you are at a high school where students do wear uniforms, your high school is just requesting that you wear the school colors, because obviously high school is pretty competitive. So if you're a Millikan student, I don't think they would want you to wear poly colors. So just make sure you wear your school colors, school logo, anything that school is approved, but you don't have to stress out. As Mr. Sai said, we really want you to be on campus. We're looking so forward to seeing all of you. It's been over a year and 5 days to be exact. And so we're excited about having you on campus, but we also would like for you just to join the school community, be a part, have some school spirit, some school pride, you know, and then flaunt those colors, you know, and let everybody know that you're proud of being a member of that school.
Yeah. And Kelly, just one thing about our ACT students, although they're not going out into the community right now, we do want them to, like Dr. Miller said, we want them to dress for success. These are our adults, and they are putting their best foot forward representing our district. And we want them to continue dressing as professionally as they would when they go out in the community. So we're definitely encouraging that. And our little preschoolers, our Buff Bears, we have lots of bear wear for those little ones, but of course they're preschoolers, so whatever they're most comfortable in, and we're happy to have them all back. That's the goal.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, I love it. What were they? The
Buffum
Buffum
Bears.
Bears?
Yes. They've got really cute
cute.
shirts, so you gotta get one.
Oh gosh. Do they have a hat with little bear ears?
I'm sure we can make it happen.
We have it. Okay, thank you. Well, that was question number 9. We're already on question number 10. So last question of the top 10 was, if I missed my school's parent meeting about opening procedures, where can I find the information? So we know that parent meetings are taking place at the site level. Principals are holding meetings. Of course, they all haven't taken place, but if they do miss it, where can they find information for those opening days or opening procedures? Sorry.
Well, there are several opportunities for parents. As you alluded to, there are parent meetings that are happening at each site, and many of those parent meetings are being videoed so that parents can go onto the website and review those. If they are unable to locate that information, parents, please make sure you contact your school. We want you to know the information. We want you to feel safe. We want you to feel included and a part and welcome back into to the space of your school. So if you're unable to attend a parent meeting, if you are unable to locate the information on the website, please contact your school, and your school principal will be more than willing to engage you in conversation and answer any questions that you may have about bringing your student back to school.
Nice, thank you.
And with the middle grades, sorry, Kelly, I keep interrupting you.
No, that's
with
okay.
middle school being a couple weeks further out than the elementary grades, we still have yet to roll out our communication to families with the same intensity as elementary sites. So for middle grades, families expect to begin getting your communication on April 1st. Before then, though, one of the things that I'd recommend is to go onto Parent View. Just make sure that your email address, your contact information is all accurate, because that is what we use to try and get that communication out to you. Just like Dr. Myers-Miller was saying, it's a lot of site-specific information, so please contact your schools if you have questions. They communicate in a number of different ways, from newsletters to posting things on their website, to school messenger, Canvas pages, and so on. And some of them will have maybe some past recordings of those parent sessions as well.
Okay, and I'm really, George, when you said, I'm sorry I interrupted you, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was reminding parents of Parent View and how important it is to have that correct email, because that's how it's going out through school messenger. So if we don't have the correct email or contact information, they may not be getting the information. And also we, Parent University, we always try to remind parents too, you want to kind of maybe check that junk email or spam email folder too that you may have, because it may end up there. I know specifically, I think sometimes the yahoo.com emails sometimes end up in spam or junk email. So thank you for bringing up Parent View, George. And then Ed, from the high school level, I know high school's even maybe a little further out.
Well, yeah, we're in a similar space as middle school. There were some parent meetings that our high schools had while the survey window was open. And then there's going to be some more communication going out in a few weeks. We are working at the high school level to try to have a spot on every school's web page just for return of school. So some schools already have it in place. Some schools are working on that, but hopefully we can have a spot for you to find the information, because we do realize that there is a ton of information, and we're trying our best to communicate as much as possible, because this is a big decision. This is very important. This is very serious. But we want it to be enjoyable as well, but we don't want you to go without having the information. So we're working to try to find a spot on every website to make sure that any question you have that you weren't able to ask in a parent meeting will be there. So hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll see those popping up. If not, just feel free to contact the school. They're eager and ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. So That concludes our top 10 questions from the submissions that we had at from our parent university Google form. But I did just want to show the people that are viewing where they can find overall general information on protocols and processes. So if you would give me just a moment here, I'm going to share my screen and just show where everyone can find general information. And then as our panelists stated, for site specific, you'll want to use websites and contacting them. But if you go to our homepage for Long Beach Unified, lbschools.net, on the front page, not sure that's the correct term, but if you go to coronavirus response, if you were to click here, or you could click here on schools to resume in person. There's multiple ways to access this, but I'm just going to come here, click on that. And here we have, this is where you will find the most up-to-date information about the schools reopening and the guidelines that we need to follow according to the California Department of Public Health. I do want to point out, just there's like a resource section over here. And in fact, at the top is the latest submission under resources. And if you just wanted to look at the list of things that Long Beach Unified School District has had to tell the California Department of Health that we will engage in and how we're going to do it to meet the reopening guidelines that allowed us to be open, please feel free to go in there. It's kind of interesting to see all the different things that you've been hearing our panelists talk about and where that came from. And then also, if you want to check out just kind of our school opening and safety plan, you can see it's in English, Spanish, and Khmer. If they click on there, at first it may seem overwhelming, like it's really long. It says it's 23 pages. But if you want to just look at the table of contents here, you can see there's health and safety protocols, the testing and reporting, facility cleaning, instructional programs. All of that information as it's needed is updated here. And then I also just wanted to let you know all the notifications that are sent out to families via School Messenger. So please make sure the email is correct in Parent View. If you were to scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see we've been communicating a lot all the way since last year when we had to close. But for our families whose primary language is Spanish or Khmer, you can change the language down here at the bottom, ver página en español or view page in Khmer. If I were to click on this, it changes all my communication that's on this into Spanish so that we want, we're just kind of, I'm reiterating what we've been hearing from our panelists. We're excited to have all of our students back, and we want to make sure that all of our families understand the guidelines, the process, the protocols that we are engaging in to make sure that the reopening is safe for all families. So I'm going to go back here and stop share for just a moment. I want to thank our viewers for taking the time out this afternoon to watch this Parent University workshop. I want to thank these panelists. You've met them. These are the folks that are supporting our principals, the staff, the classified staff, making sure all the information is getting out to schools. They're supporting families. So you are so busy, and for you to come and take this time to spend with us today, we're very thankful for that. I also want to thank our translators that are simultaneously translating in Spanish and Khmer, and the Office of Marketing and Youth Services, and the Parent University team for bringing this all together today. Next week, please join us. We have from our Family Resources Center, Teresa Mora, a counselor, Tom Saab, school psychologist, and they're going to be giving strategies on tips for success for students that are coming back into the classroom after being gone for quite a while. So we hope you'll join us next week. Until then, please stay safe. Good night.